8 years old. And I just want to know, I mean, at age 88, you could be doing anything that you would like. You could be out on the beach right now. And instead, you're writing books, you are populating social media feeds that are followed by millions. You're being outspoken. And you're doing this. You're spending your time in front of audiences that can really matter. So I want to know, where are you getting your motivation?
Well, thank you very much for the question. The first thing is I love to work. For whatever reason, I think it's because I was raised by hardworking people who were struggling to make it in depression. But for whatever reason, I really like to work. And I have a great passion for this work. I've always loved stories, loved reporting. I love this work. And I recognize I know many people who are retired and love to play golf, fish, whatever they do. But for me, I love to work. I have a passion for this work. And I will confess to you, and I suspect it is a confession, and I hope it's not self-serving, that I think most of us, we want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. You want to think that, in some small, perhaps minuscule, microscopic way, that if you work hard and do right, maybe you can make a difference. And that's part of the mix as well.
Thank you. Do you mind talking politics for a bit?
Sure.
Okay, who's going to win the California primary, the Democratic primary?
Who's going to win?
Democratic primary.
I have no idea.
Oh, thank you.
Here's the thing, that, I hope that on my better days, I may be at least half decent about telling you what has happened or what is happening. When it comes to predicting what's going to happen, I'm not worth it down. My record clearly shows when it comes to making predictions, political predictions or otherwise, that that old saying, he who lives by the crystal ball learns to eat a lot of broken glass. And I have eaten more than my share. I would say as we make this turn, I do think that it's open. That sometimes you can, or at least you think you see where one person has a clear lead. And having said that, I'll go as far as say is that Bernie Sanders has been from the beginning, overall in the main, the best organized, the best financed, and is the only one of the candidates who has a very large and sustained group of backers, those who don't like him to call it a group of backers, who are what we call in journalism willing to fall on hand grenades for him, really dedicated. So whether it's the California primary or Wyoming or Delaware, Sanders is going to be a factor. I'm not predicting he will get the nomination, but I do think he'll be around competing at or near the finish. But with California, one reason I'm reluctant, I don't want to talk the question to death, is Bloomberg's entry into the race.
Yes, what about it?
Is clearly calculated on his ability to do extremely well in California. I would say he probably needs to win California to ensure himself going to the convention as well paid. But this has been Bloomberg's bet from the beginning. California is his big bet. And I think he's the person to watch, not because I think he'll necessarily do especially well or will win, but he's the person to watch.
As a person who's seen a lot of elections and a lot of candidates come and go, are you impressed at all by the rise of Pete Buttigieg?
I am impressed by the rise of Mayor Pete, as he prefers to be called. That when he got in the race, quite frankly, my assessment is that he could make it interesting and that he might build his time along, but he wasn't likely to do very well in Iowa or New Hampshire. He's done very well in both. And it would not shock me, it would not surprise me that he winds up with the nomination. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination he'd be said to be the favorite. Among his negatives is he's not very well known and so far not particularly well liked in the African American community or Latin American community. But those things can change, as we've seen in the case of Senator Klobuchar. Things can change quickly. One especially effective debate appearance and one rise in one primary can make a big difference. And so it could be with people.
Broader question. You've lived a lot of history, you've reported a lot of it from the very front lines. Right now, this moment that we're in feels to us as incredibly divisive, broken, and I'm just wondering if you can compare it to other points and moments in our history, comparing it, for example, to the Great Depression, or the World War, or McCarthyism, or Vietnam. What does this feel like in comparison?
Well, I really appreciate that question. And we could spend the rest of the afternoon talking about it. We don't have that much time. But to direct answer your question, this is unique unto itself for several reasons. But, and I may detail a couple of those reasons, but we have to keep in mind that we've been through some really testing times before. Just in my lifetime, the combination of the Great Depression and the Great Two-Ocean War against the Axis powers. This was a time, and I think it's very easy for people who were not born at that time or not of memory age. At the beginning of World War II, it not only was, if you pardon the syntax, it was not only uncertain that we could win, it actually looked like we were likely to lose, having to face both the Germans and the Japanese, both of which very, very organized. But the combination of the Great Depression and World War II, extremely difficult time for the country. The 1960s, again, those of us who lived through them are prone to forget, the country was immensely divided and very polarized, and in a state of shock with the assassinations of President John Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy, Malcolm X. Extremely stressful time. The Watergate period, in which we had a constitutional crisis. So we've been through really tough times. Now, what makes this unique? There are a number of things that make it unique. First of all, not in my lifetime, and I don't see a time in American history when we had a presidency so dedicated to extreme nationalism to the point of favoring authoritarianism. Now, these are very difficult things to say. They're very difficult words to argue, but never before had anyone who so openly espouses what I consider, and I think by any objective analysis, are deeply authoritarian moves. Now, I'm not saying that we're not at a dictatorship, we're not near a dictatorship, but we know the steps that lead when authoritarian and leaning governments and positions of power begin to preach the gospel of extreme nationalism. That leads very quickly, if you aren't careful, to extreme tribalism. And I think we all know enough, at least from seventh grade civics, to know that if we ever make that descent, if we make the final descent to extreme nationalism resulting in extreme tribalism, then we cannot survive as a constitutional republic based on the principles of freedom and democracy. And that's what makes this time different. Now, people say, well, President Nixon he resigned instead of facing almost certain impeachment. That's true. What was different with the Nixon impeachment period and the Trump period, the charges against President Nixon, the ones which proved to be true, the ones which resulted in his leaving, is that he, the president, unquestionably, there was no question, it was hard fact, he, the president, had led a widespread conspiracy, a criminal conspiracy, but it was domestic. There was not a foreign factor involved in that. This time here in the second decade of the 21st century, the allegations and some of the proven facts are that at least one foreign power is involved. That makes it considerably different than it is now. But overall, I hear people all the time say, listen, we've never been through a period as difficult as this. For accuracy, I don't think we can say that. We've been through other times that were perilous and extremely difficult. But this time is unique in a number of ways, two of which I've tried to mention.
Thank you. We don't have much time left. How about one or two questions about journalism? State of journalism.
Sure.
Well, let's start with this one. people have talked about social media as creating these echo chambers and having other effects that have eroded the proper standing and stature of journalism itself. And you are a legendary journalist. But you, sir, have taken to social media, and you now have millions of followers. So what were you thinking? Was it like, if you can't beat them, join them? Is that what happened?
I wouldn't say that. Pretty close. No, what happened with me is, quite frankly, that when it was first suggested, and social media first began to emerge, Facebook, Twitter, I said to myself, and said to a small staff of people, most of whom are much younger than I am, to myself, I was born too soon for social media. That I'm sure it's something wonderful and has great potential, but it's not for me. My age and stage, not taking on. But the younger people I work with, fairly quickly, in effect, came back to me and said, Dan, look, it's not actually an option. If you want to stay relevant, even on the edges, if you want to be relevant, anything close to relevant, it's imperative to be in social media. Otherwise, go fish, do something. So I agreed to try it, and in the early going, it was a steep learning curve for me. For among the things I was told some things that proved not to be true. For example, I was told you have to write short, like one sentence or two sentences. That's about all anybody's going to pay attention to. What do you think it means? Well, it turned out it's not my experience. That if you have something to say, you can write in somewhat longer form, and people will find it.
Yeah, I'm one of your followers, by the way. Well, so are they. Not much time left. Tell me this. Is there a liberal bias in the media?
The what?
Is there a liberal bias in the media?
I think this is, first of all, let me acknowledge that I'm probably not in the best position to answer that, because I have been, quote, in the media as man and boy for over 70 years. But I do think that this is bullshit. It's born of people who have their own partisan, political, and or ideological biases. That, to bring it down to the personal case, I know I'd be really stupid, you can make a case I am, but even more so, if I didn't recognize that over a long period of my career, one of the things that about me is, one, he's part of the elite. And partly because he's one of the elite, he has these deep and abiding liberal biases. Well, very quickly, I'm the son of an oil field ditch digger who never saw anything but public schools. I'm not playing humble beginnings when I'm saying, listen, this is not the profile of an elite person. Who went to Sam Houston State Teachers College, not exactly one of the world's best-known institutions. We like to think of it as Stanford of East Texas. But we were perfectly aware a lot of people out here never heard of the damn thing. Volunteered for the Marine Corps during war. Oh, I have one of the shortest and least distinguished records in the whole history of the Marine Corps. But I volunteered. This is not the picture of some, as I'm sometimes pictured, Eastern elitist. As far as liberal bias, look, I walked with Dr. Martin Luther King and covered Dr. King day by day, week in, month out, for 2 years in the early 1960s. At a time when CBS was called, quote, the colored broadcasting system, by even our own affiliates in the South. Very controversial story. I covered the Vietnam War, controversial story. I covered Watergate. My point is, when you're on point as a journalist, covering those kind of controversial stories, there are people who are going to try to place a label on it. And the same is true with any number of journalistic institutions and the whole institution of journalism. I would say that, in answer to your question about the liberal bias, what is true is that many reporters, particularly those who were brought up on the old-fashioned repertorial apprentice system, What you do see is the underside, the kind of Dickensian side of society that many people never see. You know what happens at the police station after midnight on Saturday night. You've been to the emergency room of the charity hospital. You've seen the homeless, the hungry, the heartbroken, the helpless, the voiceless. You're exposed to those things. And there is a natural tendency to want other people to recognize what that world is. And for any number of people and forces, when you do that, they want to put the thing liberalism. Now, I will say, I do have empathy and compassion for the kind of people in situations like yourself. And if that makes you a liberal, then liberal I am. He was kind enough to say thank you. I don't want to extend the time, but I can't resist telling you another story because, folks, and this won't take long, but it must have been obvious to you that I was having some difficulty hearing up here, even though we're close by, and I have some difficulty hearing. You know, there's very little dignity in journalism, particularly in television journalism, and there's no dignity in getting to be 88 years old. But the fact is, I don't hear as well as I once did. That's what this difficulty in hearing here was about. And I lost about 40% of my hearing during the Vietnam War, and age is taking care of the rest. But the late Walter Cronkite, whom I mentioned earlier, he lived well into his 90s. And when he got to be late 80s, early 90s, he had difficulty hearing. And his wife, Betsy, tells the following story. I wouldn't tell this story except that Mrs. Cronkite told it all the time. That when Walter was beginning to lose his hearing kind of seriously, they liked to sail. And they were sailing off the coast of Martha's Vineyard one summer. And Betsy said to Walter, they had guests, we need to go in and get resupplied. So they took the dinghy and went in to Martha's Vineyard to pick up some supplies for the boat. There was a big crowd at the store, and of course everybody recognized Walter Cronkite, and everybody wants to say hello. You know, hello Walter, I've been listening to you since I was a child. Do you know so-and-so? Have you met so-and-so? And Walter was great handling people, so he stopped and talked to each and every person. And Mrs. Cronkite, she just wants to get the supplies and go to the boat. So it takes a long time, but they finally get up to the cash register, and Mrs. Cronkite is saying to herself, thank God we're finally through this. When one last gentleman kind of came out of the shadows and says to Walter, do you know so-and-so and so-and-so? And that Walter, according to Mrs. Cronkite, pulled himself up to his full 6 feet and said, well, I can't say that I know him, but I have met him, and he's a wonderful fellow. Thank you very much. They get outside, and Mrs. Cronkite says, Walter, you have to do something with your hearing. That man asked you, do you know Jesus?
Great to meet you today, Ray.
Likewise, man.